Patriot Awards last night.
She's bouncing all night. I'm like, how is she doing this?
That was
incredible.
Such a fun night.
It was, and our producers just said, hey, listen, have a lot of energy. Act like you're not tired, like you did not get 2 hours of sleep. So we won't.
No, but you know what I said last night? I said, tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah.
We're going to do a 3-hour show, and I'm going right back to bed.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Flannel pajamas are coming up in 3 hours.
I don't have those, but I'm with you.
All right, it's December 6th. Happy Friday to you, and Merry Christmas. This is Fox and Friends. Well, the manhunt for the United Healthcare CEO's killer enters day 3 as a bus trip and burner phone could be key to cracking that case.
Plus, President-elect Trump taps a former PayPal executive to make the U.S. the global leader in crypto and AI. Bring it on.
And honoring America's everyday heroes and Trump at the 6th Annual Patriot Awards.
This is a fantastic turnout. This is very impressive. But, and you, my friends.
Indeed. And another Patriot is going to join us this morning. First Lady Melania Trump joins Fox and Friends for her first interview since Mr. Trump won re-election. All right, Fox and Friends, the post-game show for the Patriot Awards starts right now.
It was an unforgettable night in Brookville, New York, as we celebrated America's heroes at the 6th Annual Fox Nation Patriot Awards.
Yep, the Fox Nation event showcasing the best this country has to offer, capped off by a visit by Donald Trump. Here are a few of the highlights from last night.
Hello, Fox Nation. Are any of you sick of winning? I am not sick of winning, not one bit. Our special guest, Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, is in the house tonight. But first, we have a lot of Patriot Awards to hand out to very deserving recipients this year. This is about the unsung heroes in our communities and our country, people that risk their lives to make our lives better.
One thing that I hope is that Jonathan's story resonates with people and that they realize that police officers are people. They go out there and they risk their lives for our communities.
I was just one of probably 100 helicopter pilots that showed up and answered the call to duty one more time for the devastation in North Carolina. So I accept this award very humbly on behalf of all of them.
There are nearly 200,000 U.S. service members fighting for your freedoms overseas.
And they leave their families behind to protect yours, never expecting to find a piece of home during their deployment.
They develop unbreakable bonds with the stray dogs and cats that provide a glimmer of hope in their darkest times.
When it's time to return home, it's bittersweet as they face a different kind of gut-wrenching goodbyes.
And that's where an organization based right here on Long Island, where you guys are right now, comes to the rescue.
Cameron reached out to us months ago, and he told us about a dog that he rescued while overseas. And tonight, Cameron, she's with us. She's here.
It's just so great. Thank you, everyone involved.
He defines patriotism. He personifies courage under fire. His fight is our fight. Please welcome the honoree, our Patriot of the Year, our recipient, the soon-to-be 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. And we're going to bring our country back, and it's going to be bigger and better and stronger than ever before. So we're going to do it again, and we have to do it again. And we're going to make America great again.
Yeah, and then they played the YMCA, and he did the Trump dance that everybody was waiting to see.
He even did the golf swing, too.
It was the best of,
yeah.
And it was great.
He's changed. Instead of just this, it's like becoming, look at this. Hey, he's doing
right
the
there.
fist bumps, but then he starts to kind of
There's
do
Harris.
a little shimmy. It's really funny.
It was a fun night, up and down. And you know, the great thing, and there you've got thousands of people, and it was great to be out in Kilmeade country. Mm-hmm. But the people who showed up, I can't tell. You know, we all were in different parts of our meet and greet, just adjacent to the hall, and we wound up talking to so many people who said, you know, I was here last year. Oh, of course, last year we were in Nashville, or I was down in Hollywood, Florida. So many people have planned their vacations around the Patriot Awards. It was just fantastic because last night, as is every year, it was a celebration of America.
See, that's a great point. I can't tell you many people said this is their thing to do in the fall.
Yeah.
I know in my town, they're going wherever it is. They were almost disappointed that they didn't have to travel because we went to Nashville last year. But they're beginning to call my town Massapequa, Magapequa.
I was
you met a lot, right?
From royalty,
right?
There. I mean,
I heard "Kill Me, Pink."
You know? But they are so. Everybody knows everybody in that town too. Is it that small?
Well, what happens is we decided not to make any new friends from my high school days. So I am still friends with my high school friends, and they're very patriotic. Doesn't matter if you're a patriotic person. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. And I feel like we haven't had that a lot. But I think a couple of things. Number one, I sign books, even though I don't have a book out, just to meet. I met people from Maryland, from Arizona, from Michigan, met from California. They come from everywhere. And I go, do you live there? You're from there? No, I live there now. Minnesota, too. A lot of people want to make sure Pete gets through. A lot of Pete heads that off.
Look at that. Look at the
And there's some good news on that front.
I thought it was.
But I also had a chance to talk to the president a little bit behind the scenes.
What did he say?
And I've never seen him quite looking like this. And even when he was on The Apprentice, he was upbeat. He just seems serene, focused, measured, appreciative. And his team is upbeat. And I asked him, I go, how does he feel? He goes, I've never seen anything like it. All he talks about is bringing people together. He's getting calls from everybody.
Yep.
And all he talks about, you can come. No bitterness, move forward. How do we work together?
I'm sorry. There is this temperature with him of gratefulness for the people. And he goes, I love you. I love told the crowd, I appreciate you. And to Brian's point, he does want to work with Democrats. He's made it very clear.
He's hired
the past be in the past. Let's move forward for the unity of the country.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say, like, I thought last night was one of my favorite Patriot Awards because the country finally had come together. That entire room, most of the room at least, I would say, voted for him. 99% of that room voted for him. They were so excited to see him. The energy was there. They were so happy, not only for their vote counting, but also because this country is heading in the right direction again. That's how they felt. And you could feel that in the room. I thought Sean did a great job filling in for Pete, because Pete obviously is
he's busy.
He's busy at the White House, exactly.
Well, and there's Sean coming out like the garbage truck driver. You know, the thing, and Brian, you're talking a little bit about the tone of the president behind the scenes. And we all remember in 2016 into 2017, you know, he won, and then it was just kind of a mad dash to try to figure out, okay, now what do I do? He's done it before, and so he knows exactly what is required, and he's got a plan. And it's very clear, and you know what, from what I've heard, he's checking the boxes right down the list. And in fact, at one point last night, he talked a little bit about how he would like to get a lot of stuff done that he promised during the campaign, but also stuff that was unfinished business from over the last 8 years. And does it involve working with Democrats? It's got to. Watch.
We have the best energy people in the world all lined up to go. But I just want to say we're going to bring prices down. We're going to make our country safe. We're going to stop people from robbing our stores and hurting our people. We're going to, and we'll get involved with governors, including Democrat governors, because that's unfortunately, whether you like it or not, that's where the crime is. It's in virtually every case, it's with Democrat-run cities and states, and we're going to stop it. We're going to work with the governors and the mayors, even if they're Democrats, and we're going to get it down, and we're going to bring our country back, and it's going to be bigger and better and stronger than ever before. And we're going to be proud of our country again. Right now, we're not so proud of our country. We're going to be very proud of our country again. It's going to be better than ever before. It's going to be more successful than ever before. We're going to be more respected throughout the world than ever before. Countries are going to respect us again. They already do, actually. I think you have seen more happen in the last 2 weeks than you've seen in the last 4 years, and we're not even there yet.
And I think what he's referring to, he's not using hyperbole, if I can steal Joe Biden's word, because behind the scenes, General Kellogg's emissary talking to Ukraine, Russia, going to the Middle East. You have one of who is the one who's flying President Trump over? Steve Whitlock. Mm-hmm. He's already meeting possibly Gaza and representative from Qatar and Egypt to try to get something going there. And he's already attacking, threatening the BRICS countries, the new acronym, to make sure you don't get off the dollar. Yep. And I don't think the Bidens care. I don't think they're remotely interested. And there has been some foreign policy cooperation. I think President Biden's like, I'd rather not off an Angola, light a tree, and go back to Delaware. And the president's just ready to go.
Right. I think it's almost become a part of the negotiation tactic as well. Let Joe Biden help reinforce, give the weapons, everything, so he can use it as a negotiation tool for his next administration.
Well, and here's the unfortunate thing about, you elect somebody president to be president for 4 years, but the Republicans know they've only got a majority for 2 years for sure. And the way Washington works is essentially you've got from January 20th until late spring to get anything done. So, historically we've heard about, okay, in the first 1,000 days, first 100 days. But Trump is different. He realizes that the meter is running. And so he's going to try to get a lot of the stuff done in 30 days. And so that requires having everything lined up. And I think that's why, it's funny that they talk about the Department of Government Efficiency, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But this transition has been super efficient.
We're a month and a half out from Donald Trump becoming the president again. And he's already making deals with Mexico, making deals with Canada. They don't want to be slapped with tariffs. Nope. So they're listening to him. And he touched on that a little bit last night, talking to the president of Mexico. Also, we're going to be interviewing Melania coming up. We can talk to her about the transition, because in her book, she talked about how difficult it was to work with the Obama team. They wouldn't really let them in the White House earlier before they moved in.
Her first interview since Trump.
That's right.
Before we move, talked to a high-ranking Trump official last night.
Which one?
I tried to get permission. If I can get permission, I'll say it.
No, I'm kidding.
And Pete's looking good.
Yeah.
Pete has made huge progress yesterday as Secretary of Defense. You know why? Because he's saying what he represents. They get a chance to see him, not the anonymous reporting. And as Will Cain brought up yesterday, if you want to do a balanced story, call us. Yeah. You got the negativity. At least make the phone call and say, is this the one person you know? And then focus on his book and what he stands for and debate that.
After Pete's mom came on and said, he's a different man now. He's my son, and I know that. And I would tell you, he's a changed man. And then after so many people at Fox that have worked with him over the last 7 years and more have vouched for him, and we all know him. Yep. And we know that he loves the Lord, his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He and Jen have a beautiful relationship, and that is the center of their relationship.
Yep. And the president told me 100% he's behind me.
Don't you think that America likes a comeback story where he changed his life? And he made the proper changes in his life, and people can forgive. We all have sinned and fallen short.
It comes down to math. He needs the vote. 4. He cannot lose 4 Republican senators, and it's close.
Right. I just been watching the same series. This for Gavin Hadden to give a promotion. None of the saints were perfect. They eventually became perfect. That's right. They went into the Human Being Hall of Fame.
It's true. Right. It's true. All right, let's go to Mar-a-Lago. While Trump was accepting that award, his transition team announced more key picks for his administration. Bill Melugin is live in West Palm Beach, Florida, with the latest on that. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Lawrence, good morning to you. Well, these public comments from Trump last night at the Patriot Awards were some of the first public comments we've seen from him since election night. And as you mentioned, he's been busy putting together his cabinet this entire time. He made several more picks yesterday, but last night at the Patriot Awards, as usual, his focus was on border security. Take a listen.
They've allowed 21 million people into our country coming through open borders. from many, many countries. They came from jails. They came from mental institutions, insane asylums even. And we're going to have to get them out.
And to that point, Trump announced he is picking Rodney Scott as Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. You might remember Scott served as Border Patrol Chief in Trump's first administration, and then for the first part of the Biden administration until he was pushed out, and he's been an extremely vocal critic of Biden's open border policies ever since then. Trump also announced that he's selecting David Sachs to be his artificial intelligence and crypto czar. That's a move seen very friendly to the crypto world. He's going to be in charge of guiding White House policy on crypto and AI, which Trump says the U.S. should lead the entire world on in both areas. Some say AI will completely change the way wars are fought.
On the battlefield now, peer-to-peer adversaries. If you're defending against their missiles, you're going to not have time to go back to the human. But there's ways in which you can use software to code ethics into the program. We're entering a completely different world. And part of the reason we're entering a completely different world is we have pretty lethal and very competent adversaries.
And as for what's next for the president-elect, tomorrow he is going to be in Paris, where he is going to be attending the reopening of the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral. It has been restored since that fire 5 years ago, which destroyed large portions of it. And while he's there, very likely he's going to be meeting with the French president, Emmanuel Macron. Send it back to you.
You can count on that. All right, Bill, thank you very much.
Let's talk a little bit about David Sachs. David Sachs is one of the guys who's known from the 90s, part of the PayPal mafia. Number of prominent tech figures, including Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, who both worked at PayPal back in the 90s. He's raised a lot of money for Donald Trump. It's interesting. He's had a renaissance because he has in the past been critical of Donald Trump, but then again, he spoke at the RNC in July right there. You can see he also hosted that fundraiser out in Silicon Valley that we talked about where it was $50,000 a head, plus they had tiers for $300,000 if you wanted a picture with Donald Trump.
VP Vance is best friends with him. And he says this is his best friend in Silicon Valley. And you also see Zuckerberg come in, give his 2 cents. Elon Musk has lived in that arena, lives in that area, came up with him. So he's done his research, and Peter Thiel is saying this is the right guy. I was surprised to see one person handling both. I hope they can do it. I like the Bitcoin as well as AI. But it's interesting. You talk about karma. So when Elon Musk breaks up with PayPal, the founders have a brutal schism, but he went out of his way, Musk, to say, listen, let's just make amends. I'll move on. You guys can have PayPal. And he moved on. I'm sure he got paid out. And then when Tesla was going down and SpaceX was having trouble simultaneously, out of nowhere, the PayPal mafia steps up and they say, what do you need to keep it going? Literally, both companies in 2008 were about to go out. And one comment Musk made was, karma. I ended good. And they were there for me, even though we had friction. And I say to Elon Musk again, karma. Because then David Sachs, Elon Musk, typed with the president, turns around and I'm sure said, you thumbs up if you want to put him in that spot. If there was bitterness, it wouldn't happen.
Isn't there something beautiful about people that do this for a living, that are part of the business community for a living? I mean, I think you can say this about most of the cabinet posts. People that have either talked about reforming different departments, people that have on a day-to-day basis been involved with it, now being appointed to run that.
Well, they do understand it, and very few people do.
100%. It just seems different. Normally you have political insiders, people that have probably run for elected office or were big mega donors get these cabinet posts. But now we have actual real people that know these industries that are...
and they're startup guys.
Correct.
It's critical.
It's incredible to just imagine being at that dinner table when you're around Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and Bezos and Donald Trump.
You don't have to pay.
Sachs.
That's good.
This is true. This is true. If you needed to, you could use PayPal maybe. But I'm proud of him for what a great model. Let's find the smartest people in our country, the billionaires in our country. Let's put them together and make this country better. And we saw Elon Musk and we saw Vivek at Capitol Hill yesterday. They're in charge of DOGE, which stands for Department of Government Efficiency. They're trying to cut expenditures and slash excessive
Yeah.
regulation.
And there you can see him right there. And, you know, it's really interesting. And there is Elon's 4-year-old son who is wearing a suit just like him.
Is that X? What is
that is X.
I'm sure he's going to take the SATs.
Yeah, he sat on his shoulders the entire time. You know, these meetings with Republicans yesterday, met with the senators and with the House members as well, it's the Department of Government Efficiency. It was very efficient. Musk and Vivek each spoke for about 1 minute in a room full of officials who are known for long-windedness. And then they gave the mics to the Republicans, and they lined up with suggestions on how to slash government agencies and programs that simply don't make any sense anymore.
So you can't cut your way out of this. I looked at Kimberly Strassel, the brilliant columnist for the Wall Street Journal, and they say, look, yes, eliminating waste and duplication of fraud is welcome, and those will be the easiest. But Congress and the presidency shouldn't get away with suggesting that DOJ can do the work that only they can. Real changes requires cutting programs, simplifying rules, handing power back to states. And I'll add one other thing. Senator Blackburn must have heard her, because she's offering legislation to go along with it to work together. And I see some Democrats, you mentioned yesterday, Ro Khanna, you mentioned yesterday Jared Moskowitz. I understand that
Bernie
Betterment
Sanders.
to Bernie Sanders for a different reason, though.
Cut the Pentagon.
Yeah, I know. He just doesn't want any defense because Vermont, they feel, can hold their own. But the other thing is, the other thing I'd like to see is Democrats. I wish you factored some Democratic meetings in those meetings yesterday. I know it's only an initial thing, but if you just use the power of their megaphone to say this is what has to be done, this is what Congress doesn't want to do, I think that would do a lot of work because people are attuned. They'll be all over your lawmaker if they're going to sit there and try to hold it.
Well, we do have one graphic. We should show you one graphic, and this shows you how easy it will be to save some money. And look at that top number. 90% of federal employees work from home.
This is ridiculous.
So why do we have all those buildings?
Who's not at? I mean, did this happen? I would be curious to know. Did this happen after COVID, or has this always been the case?
Vacant buildings that you're paying for as a
This is
taxpayer.
unbelievable.
Well, and here's the thing. Forget about the lease. The bottom line, it costs $7 billion is spent for energy to keep them running in buildings where they are 90% empty. Does that make sense?
Whose hand that is?
Yeah.
And make her come to work.
You know whose hand that is? It's the hand of Carly Shimkus, who joins us right now.
I always want to be a hand model.
You and George Costanza.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Seinfeld, yes.
That's a Seinfeld bit.
Right.
Let's get to some more news.
Because you need to keep talking, right?
Right.
Your voice.
Oh,
Bless your
boy.
heart. You
We're
were
doing our best. We begin with a Fox News alert. Daniel Penny hit with a civil lawsuit by the father of Jordan Neely, the homeless man who died after being placed in a chokehold by Penny on a New York City subway. It comes as the young Marine veteran awaits a verdict in his criminal trial as the jury enters its fourth day of deliberations this morning. Penny is charged with manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide and faces up to 15 years in prison if convicted. Today, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance is heading to North Carolina to survey Hurricane Helene relief efforts. He will meet with first responders and storm survivors. Vance is also expected to visit the family of fallen Fire Chief Ray Garrison, who died while rescuing victims of a Hurricane Helene-related mudslide. And right now, the western part of the state faces blizzard-like conditions. That's where about 200,000 people are still displaced. President Biden having a bad hair day last night as he helped light the national Christmas tree on a windy night in Washington. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the tree was lit. That 35-foot red spruce from Virginia will shine bright each night on the ellipse through New Year's Day. And those are your headlines.
All right.
Some hair and Christmas tree.
Yeah, and that's the Christmas tree that blew over a couple of months ago.
They got cables this year. They got steel cables this year.
Okay, good.
All right.
Thank you, Carly.
All right, straight ahead. The FBI on this Friday is investigating mysterious drones close to President Trump's property in Bedminster, New Jersey. What do we know about them? We're going to tell you coming up. All right, a Fox News alert. The manhunt for the gunman who murdered the United Healthcare CEO, enters its third day right now. Chanley Painter is here in Studio M with the latest evidence that could solve the case. Chanley.
That's right. Hey, Steve. So police appear to be closing in on the identity of the man suspected of gunning down 50-year-old Brian Thompson Wednesday morning outside a New York City hotel. Police sources revealing to Fox that they had a cell phone they believe was dropped by the suspect near the scene with fingerprints and a water bottle purchased by the suspect at a nearby Starbucks that is being used to build a DNA profile. We are also learning the suspect arrived in the city more than a week ago on a Greyhound bus from Atlanta before checking into a hostel in the Upper West Side using a fake ID and paying in cash. These photos were taken at that hostel, the first images to show the alleged masked assassin's face smiling. Reportedly, in a moment, he pulled his face covering down to flirt with the hostel clerk. Police sources saying he shared a room there with at least 2 other men.
What I heard is that he stayed on the 407, like really next to the bedroom, like right next to mine. That I'm used to violence because I'm from Rio de Janeiro. There's a lot there, but like not the kind of like cold and articulated professional killing.
Police are also homing in on the type of gun used in the murder. A firearms expert telling Fox this, quote, "It is a very unique pistol and they don't make that many of them. If it is the gun, they will be able to narrow him down to a very small number of purchasers. And while a motive is still not clear, as we reported yesterday, the suspect left behind possible clues in the words denied, opposed, defend, written on shell casings and live rounds left there at the scene, possibly a message to the murdered CEO of one of the largest healthcare companies in the world." Steve.
Lots of more details. Chanley, thank you very much. Let's bring in Frank Loveridge. He's a former Secret Service special agent in charge of all sorts of stuff. He worked with George W. Bush, Barack Obama. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we've got a much better picture of this guy because when he checked in, apparently he was wearing a black mask, a face mask, and starts flirting with the hostel clerk. And she said, "I got to see your face," probably to check you in. He pulled it down. He's smiling. We got a better idea. Where does it go from here?
Well, I think they're closing in on him now. It's the 4th day right now. We're looking at, we have a facial recognition on him now. We've got some DNA possibly off of one of the items he had, water bottle. Then we got a phone we need to look into.
Right.
We know we've tracked him coming from Atlanta, from the south, on a bus, arriving at Port Authority. So we've got great photos from that. Hey, look, NYPD did an amazing job of putting this together by running all those camera feeds together and basically pinning them down and getting these great shots.
Right.
So I think it's going to be just a moment of time before we have him in custody.
Well, it does seem like he made some sort of mistakes, and the cops here are good, and they've now got a pretty good picture of who they suspect. Mm-hmm. All right, Frank, we also have some pretty good pictures of something nobody can explain in New Jersey. I got a note from our Dr. Ken yesterday and said, what's the deal with the drones? Because these mysterious drones have been flying over portions of New Jersey. And as you can see right there, that was Bernardsville, Wednesday, not too far from Bedminster, where the president has got his golf course.
Correct.
What do we know about this?
I don't think we know a whole lot about it. It's been reported since November 25th. It's been several weeks now, and it's pretty obvious. Multiple reports coming in. Now, we got a military research facility in that area. We have a pharmaceutical company in that area. We also have the Trump's golf courses in that area as well. So we need to be concerned about that. But we need to identify who's flying these drones, and if they're not friends of the government, we need to go ahead and make sure we interview these people and find out what their intentions are.
Well, the acting Secret Service director said that autonomous canines are guarding Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. And I know when we were at the RNC in Milwaukee over the summer, they did have drones, fixed drones, that they had just hovering above it.
Right.
But these have running lights and they're moving, so it's not like they're just taking a look at everything going on.
Yeah, we don't want them mapping the golf course looking for vulnerabilities. Like we saw in Mar-a-Lago, there's an area that photographs were taken of the president when he was golfing. These are vulnerabilities areas. Could it be someone out there mapping this area to find out a advantage, a place that they could set up for an attack? I mean, this is something we got to look into. But bottom line is, I think we should know who these people are that flying these drones.
Do you have a guess?
I think it's us.
You think it's us?
Oh, I think it is. I mean, by this time, I think,
our intel people.
It could be research development, part of a project they're working on. I know Amazon is in that area as well. So who knows what's going on out there. But 3 weeks has gone by, and we haven't seen a lot of reports on who these individuals are.
Man, it could be Amazon. Jeff Bezos, call us. Call Frank.
Just taking a shot at it. But
Indeed.
Thank you, Steve.
Frank, thank you very much. All right. Meanwhile, Donald Trump tapping a key player in the Abraham Accords as his envoy for hostage affairs, who says it's time to go back to the policies that worked in the Middle East. That's coming up.
Sao? Tôi nghĩ sao mình đéo gọi ông đi ăn khách ở đi nào nhỉ? Bữa nào mình có mấy nhà bà cô có 1-2 nhà hoàn thiện ở bên này. Vậy anh làm chán thế mình nhỉ? Khổ hạnh. Hôm nào đến hôm nào nó mới tắm được chứ.